The Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser has been the U.S. Navy's air defense commander for more than 3 decades, but its time is nearly over. Of the 27 hulls originally built, only 7 remained as of April 2025, and the Navy has accelerated the retirement schedule. The 2 cruisers originally set for decommissioning in fiscal 2025, USS Shiloh, CG-67, and USS Lake Erie, CG-70, were held over after the change in presidential administration, but are now both slated for decommissioning on September 30, 2026, leaving the fleet with just 5 cruisers. 3 ships, USS Gettysburg, USS Chosen, and USS Cape St. George, received a final life extension, adding 10 cumulative years of service through fiscal year 2029, confirmed in November 2024. When these final 3 decommission, the United States Navy will operate without a cruiser hull for the first time since the Ticonderoga class entered service in 1983. The Ticonderoga-class cruiser is not merely a large missile launcher. It is the designated air warfare commander for every carrier strike group, responsible for tracking all objects in the sky and coordinating the entire group's air defense assets. The cruiser's Combat Information Center is substantially larger than a destroyer's, with more watch stations, expanded hardware, and dedicated command spaces that allow an embarked air warfare commander and staff to operate effectively. Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, by contrast, are not built or permanently manned to fill this composite warfare commander role. To perform it with its own crew, a Flight III destroyer would need to add roughly 60 additional sailors just to stand the necessary watches. Embarking an air warfare commander team on a destroyer would also be ineffective if the advanced tactical team lacked the correct command and control tools and the physical watch station space required. With the cruisers departing, the Arleigh Burke Flight III destroyer will be the only air defense commander available to the fleet through the 2030s. The Flight III was conceived precisely because the Navy's next-generation cruiser, CGX, was canceled, leaving a gap in integrated air and missile defense that had to be filled on a proven hull. The Flight III brings the powerful AN Spy-6 radar and Aegis Baseline 10, giving it sensitivity and computing power far beyond earlier Burkes, but it remains constrained by the same 96-cell VLS capacity and the same cramped internal layout. Even with the additional air warfare commander requirements built into the Flight III design, the margins for internal space and weight growth are extremely limited because the underlying hull has been stretched to its engineering limits. The Navy's original plan for a true cruiser replacement was the DDG-X Next Generation Destroyer, a 14,500-ton large surface combatant designed to carry the SPY-6 radar, a large VLS array, and eventually hypersonic missiles. But Navy engineering studies confirmed that the DDG-X hull could not simultaneously accommodate the desired Mk-41 VLS capacity, the 12-tube conventional prompt strike hypersonic battery, and sufficient power margins for directed energy systems without exceeding hull stability and growth limits. Rear Admiral Derek Trink, the Navy's Director of Surface Warfare, acknowledged in January 2026 that DDG-X is running out of space, having to make choice between CPS and gun. The program was not legally terminated. The FY 2026 budget still carried $133.5 million for concept development, and CRS noted procurement remained penciled for the early 2030s, but it was in strategic limbo, funded yet without a shipyard slot. On December 22, 2025, President Trump announced the Trump-class guided missile battleship, designated BBGX, with the lead ship named USS Defiant. The Navy's FY 2027 30-year shipbuilding plan, released May 11, 2026, formally incorporated the battleship and established procurement of up to 15 hulls planned. The plan confirmed that the ships will use nuclear propulsion, officially designating them BBGN, a decision Navy officials had previously called unlikely just weeks earlier. The Navy's own justification stated that even the planned DDGX program made undesirable capability and weapon system compromises, and that the nuclear-powered battleship is designed to provide longer endurance, higher speed, and accommodating advanced weapon systems required for modern warfare. The BBGX is programmed for fiscal year 2028 procurement, the very year DDGX was once slated, and is expected to displace roughly 35,000 tons, nearly 3 times larger than a Flight III destroyer. The lead ship's cost is estimated at around $14 billion to $17 billion, exceeding the projected unit cost of the next 3 Ford-class aircraft carriers. The Navy's timeline for USS Defiant is aggressive: procurement in fiscal year 2028, construction start in August 2028, and delivery in August 2036. That 8-year construction span assumes no delays for nuclear reactor integration, no workforce shortages, and no design changes, a set of assumptions that the Government Accountability Office has already called unrealistic. The only yard capable of the work, Newport News Shipbuilding, is already overloaded with Ford-class carrier construction and Columbia-class submarine modules, and the specialized workforce needed to integrate a nuclear reactor into a surface combatant hull has atrophied after decades without battleship construction. Even if the official schedule holds, USS Defiant will not join the fleet until 2036, 6 full years after the last Ticonderoga retires. The phrase "not yet built" defines the BBGN in 2030. The gap is not just about the number of VLS cells. It is about the ability to coordinate a complex air defense battle. Ticonderoga-class cruisers carry dedicated air warfare commanders, additional watch stations, and flag accommodations that destroyers simply do not have. In a high-end fight, the strike group commander relies on the cruiser to fuse sensor data and orchestrate engagements. A Flight III destroyer can perform this role in a degraded fashion, but it was not built for it. The littoral combat ship, the Constellation-class frigate, and the Zumwalt-class destroyer all lack the sensor suite, magazine capacity, or command spaces needed. The Navy has no hidden reserve of cruiser-like capability. The gap is real and structural, not merely a paperwork problem. The United States Navy is sailing toward a known and unavoidable gap. The Ticonderoga-class cruiser, the fleet's air defense quarterback for nearly 40 years, will be gone by 2030. The DDGX program, constrained by its own hull limitations, has been sidelined. The BBGN battleship, bold in concept, will not touch the water until 2036 at the earliest. For at least 6 years, the Navy will fight without a single cruiser in its order of battle, trusting that Flight III destroyers, designed in the 1980s, upgraded with modern radars, and stretched thin across a global theater, can hold the line. The adversaries have not paused. China continues to commission new cruisers and destroyers at a pace American shipyards cannot match, and the missile threat grows more complex every year. The retirement of the Ticonderoga class is not a choice born of strategic confidence. It is a reality imposed by aging steel, failed modernization programs, and a replacement timeline that simply does not align. The fleet will sail into 2030, hoping its backup plan is good enough, because its real air defense commander has not yet been built.